and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. This is episode number 10 of the Geography Glaciated Landscapes and Change series over here on my channel. Today we're looking at glacial meltwater and landforms, and this is not the first one I've done. The rest of the episodes are up here if you want to catch up. I am a second year geography and education student at Liverpool Hope University, and I have a passion for geography and I really want you to do well in your exams whenever they may be. So yeah, I hope this is useful for you, I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, without further ado, let's get straight on into this video. What are fluvio-glacial landscapes? Fluvio-glacial landscapes, it sounds more complex than it actually is. Fluvio-glacial means river and glacial. The landscapes created by fluvio-glacial processes are associated with flowing water, essentially meltwater, in glacial or periglacial environments. Meltwater is seasonally abundant in temperate and periglacial environments and is often seen flowing out from under the ice at the glacier's snout. However, meltwater is much less common in some of the world's coldest environments, which are characterised as cold-based glaciers. What are fluvio-glacial processes? Just like normal rivers, meltwater erodes, transports and deposits sediment. It also forms many features of typical rivers, such as meandering channels, levees and deltas. Occasionally, a huge amount of meltwater becomes trapped, either beneath the ice or as surface lakes, when these eventually burst, called glacial outbursts or yerkalops. The surging meltwater has the power to carve deep channels or gorges. Ice can produce huge quantities of water when it melts. This can flow on top of a glacier in supraglacial channels, within the ice known as englacial channels, or under the ice known as subglacial channels. Meltwater discharge from supraglacial and subglacial streams is higher during warmer summer months. It often flows at high velocity and is usually very turbulent, so it picks up and transports a larger volume of material than a normal river of a similar size. Such materials then erode vertically, creating subglacial valleys and large potholes. Deposition occurs when there is a decrease in discharge. There are two distinct types of fluvio-glacial landforms, the first being ice contact features and the second being proglacial features. Ice contact features. Eskers. Eskers are long, winding ridges of sand and gravel, up to 30 metres high and several kilometres long. They usually take the form of meandering hills, running roughly parallel to the valley sides, which suggests that they were formed by subglacial river deposition during the final stages of a glacial period as the glacier retreated. Today, eskers form discontinuous hills, having been eroded by meltwater and post-glacial rivers. One of the best examples of an esker is in the USA, is the Dahlen Esker in North Dakota. It's about 7 kilometres long, 120 metres wide and up to 25 metres high, comprising a mixture of fluvial sands and gravels. In places it has distinctive native prairie vegetation due to its sandy soil, whereas the flat and fertile till plains on either side are intensely farmed. Kames. Kames form on the ice surface. They consist largely of sand and gravel deposited by streams in the final stages of a glacial period. There are three different kinds of kames. Kame terraces, number one. These result from when the infilling of a marginal glacial lake. When the ice melts, the kame terrace is left as a ridge on the valley side. Number two, kame deltas. These are smaller features that form when a stream deposits material on entering a marginal lake. It forms a small mound-like hill on the valley floor. And number three, crevasse kames. These are small hummocks deposited on the valley floor as a result of sediment deposited in surface crevices. And then proglacial features. An outwash plain or a sandja. An outwash plain is an extensive, gently sloping area of sands and gravels that forms in front of a glacier. It results from the outwash of material carried by meltwater, streams and rivers. During a glacial period, the creation of meltwater and the deposition of material is mainly restricted to summer. However, at the end of a glacial period, huge quantities of material are spread out over the outwash plain by great torrents of meltwater. Some of the most extensive plains exist in Iceland and Alaska, where large braided rivers choked with sediment meander across the vast floodplains. Meltwater channels and proglacial lakes. When ice sheets expand and dam rivers, they can create proglacial lakes. For example, during the last ice retreat between 70,000 and 10,000 years ago, the North Yorkshire moors remained largely unglaciated. As this picture shows, they formed an ice-free island surrounded by a vast ice sheet. Lake Eskdale, a proglacial lake, was formed when the North Sea ice blocked the mouth of the River Esk. The level of the lake rose until its water found a new route over a low point in its southern watershed on the North Yorkshire moors. The overflow river flowed through Lake Glaciated before cutting a deep, narrow, steep-sided and flat-floored Newtondale Valley. This is a meltwater channel. At the end of this valley, the river formed a delta where it flowed into another proglacial lake, Lake Pickering. Lake Pickering, also dammed by North Sea ice, eventually found an outlet to the southwest, where it also formed a meltwater channel, the present day known as Kirkham Gorge. When the surrounding ice sheet finally retreated, these proglacial lakes emptied. Today, Newtondale forms a narrow, wooded gorge, 80 metres deep and 5 kilometres long. The site of the former Lake Pickering is now fertile, flat-floored Vale of Pickering. Kettle holes. Kettle holes form when large blocks of ice left behind when glaciers retreat are covered by deposits from meltwater streams. When the ice melts, a depression is left, which then fills with water to form a kettle hole. Glacial and Fluvio-glacial deposits. This picture shows a typical Fluvio-glacial landscape, with a wide, multi-channeled, braided river flowing over a vast area of sediment. This environment consists of two types of sediment, glacial and Fluvio-glacial deposits. Glacial deposits, just to get the difference correct, are unstratified and it's difficult to identify layers. They're also unsorted, so when the ice melts it just deposits material regardless of the size, and the material is also angular from physical weathering and erosion, as well as being various shapes and sizes from boulders to rock flour. Whereas the Fluvio-glacial deposits, remember these have been carried by meltwater, are stratified. They are in layers due to seasonal variations in sediment accumulation. They are also sorted. As the meltwater loses energy, larger rocks and boulders are deposited first, and the material is smooth and rounded due to attrition, as well as being sorted and graded. Deposits are affected by imbrication, where glacial deposits are orientated or aligned. Overlapping each other like topple dominoes, they're aligned in two ways. Usually the longest axis lies parallel to the direction of flow. This is typical of sediment carried in suspension, where the speed of flow decreases rapidly, and sediments are deposited without any significant rolling. It occurs where deposits are churned up, known as reworking by flash floods. In other cases, the A-axis lies perpendicular to the direction of flow, where sediment has been carried along, rolling along the riverbed. Fluvio-glacial deposits have different depositional characteristics. On outwash plains, the coarsest and largest material is deposited first, closest to the glacier. The finest material travels the furthest across the plain. This is referred to as sorting. Eskers. These consist of sorted coarse material, usually sand and gravel, and are often stratified. Kames are mounds of coarse sand and gravel, which are sorted and stratified. Meltwater streams. Crossing outwash plains are braided, where variations in volume of meltwater lead to streams becoming choked with coarse material. A varve. This is a distinct layer of silt sitting on top of a layer of sand, deposited annually in lakes near glacial margins. Coarser, lighter coloured sand is deposited during late spring, when meltwater streams have peak discharge and carry maximum load. When temperatures fall towards the autumn, each discharge decreases. finer, darker coloured silt then settles. Each band of light and dark material represents 1 year of accumulation. Because greater melting causes increased deposition, the variation in thickness of each valve indicates the warmer and cooler periods. And that is it for today's video. I hope you found it useful. I apologise that we had to cut halfway through, but you probably didn't notice that because of editing. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. We have 3 more episodes in this series, and then we're going to go on to globalization, which some of you have been asking for. So yeah, that's coming next. I hope you enjoy. Subscribe to see that down here. I'll link the rest of the other geography videos up here, the playlist. And yeah, if you did enjoy, please hit like, leave me a comment below of what you learned, and share it with someone. That's your challenge for today. See how many people can see this video and hit subscribe. Thank you so much. I will see you same time, same place next week, Monday, 4:30 p.m. Bye.